So we can get into the meat of this episode, which I'm excited about, and Reed's way more excited than
Oh
me because
yeah.
this is about Dynasty, it's 100th episode.
I'm so excited. I can't believe that it hit 100 episodes. Like it seemed like such a pipe dream in the early days of the show that it would last this long, but I'm so glad that it did because after watching this episode and seeing how much they honored the entirety of the series as well as the
Mm.
original series, I was like, oh, thank you. This one show gets it and deserves to have this moment. But before we talk about it, I wanted to ask you, what do you think makes a good 100th episode? Because I was thinking about this a lot before watching it, and I was like, what do I want? What do I think they should do? Thoughts?
So, I think personally, because I think 100 episodes is sort of like a personal taste thing. Though I'm very open to a lot of things, I do think you need to reference what came before. I don't want 100th episode to not have anything special in it. So it should commemorate like all the episodes that we've watched, all the storytelling and the characters. And it doesn't have to be like some sort of time capsule thing, but it's wonderful when you're like, oh my God, I remember this moment, or they just did a parallel to this moment, or I can't believe they got this character back. They haven't been on since such
Mhm.
and such season. I think it has to be um, the 100th episode is for the fans. It should progress the story, but it should also be a little treat, a little celebratory thing for the fandom and the actors and the cast and crew to just highlight all the work they've put into the show.
Agree with you. Because I feel like I've watched so many 100th episodes that are just like any other episode, or on the other end of that spectrum where it's like too much of like a celebration or like too like heavy on the past. But I think this particular episode was right in the middle and did it so well. Like they, like you were saying, they brought back a character from the first season. They brought back their villain from season one. I think she was in season two as well. It all started with Blake receiving a broken and burnt Carrington family crest in the mail. And he was like, wait, who's mad at us? So he and Crystal and Sammy Joe like put a bunch of pictures on a whiteboard and we're like, okay, who are all these people from our past that could possibly still be mad at us? And they ruled everyone out. And for a second, I was like, oh my God, is this Steven? Are they bringing Steven back? Is Steven finally like woken up in Paris and was like, wait a minute, I'm mad at my family? But it was not Steven. It was Claudia Blaisdell from season one. Sammy meets up with her during like her community service, and he's kind of like, this is too good to be true. She seems reformed. She's like running the community service now, and like she seems like a better person. So he like rules her out. And but the episode, like they keep you on the hook. Like she, after he leaves, she makes like a really shady phone call. And you're like, oh, it's her. And then she shows up at Alexis's wedding,
A
and she has
beautiful
her hand,
gown.
yeah, and she has her hand behind her back. And you're like, oh no, who is she in for? But it was just a mug she made, and she's seemingly thankful for the Carringtons.
I
So
still
it
don't
was
trust
not,
it.
yeah, it was not her at the moment. But it was nice to see her and for the show to acknowledge that they remember the first season because, as we know, the show looks a lot different than it did in the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I thought it was so fun that she came back, and I certainly wasn't expecting it, but it was really good, a nice touch. And as I mentioned, Alexis got married to Dex, and what a wedding it was. I don't know why she had it in her penthouse, but she did. And the outfits that she and Dex wore were almost like exact replicas of what the original Alexis and Dex wore on the original series when they got married. So that's like a nice Easter egg that, I mean, most fans of the show probably wouldn't get it of this iteration, but if there are any fans of the original, they'd be like, oh my gosh, she's wearing the same dress.
It made me want to Google though, because when I saw, I was like, that is so it was giving, I pulled it's vintage, I pulled it out of
Hmm.
some fashion closet. So I was like, it has, I feel like if you didn't know anything about the OG Dynasty and you saw Alexis's wedding dress and Dex's tux, you'd like,
Yeah, he had that like
the Kravitz thing going
Yeah, I had
on.
the like scarf thing.
I was like, it was very British. I was like, why aren't we outside in this? Because it seems like this should be outside. Just the outfits in general. But
Mhm.
it would make me Google. If you hadn't told me that it was an homage, I would have been like, let me just go over to do a quick Google like image search to see if they're the same outfits.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't have known either, but this show the reboot does a really good job of like pulling in that 80s fashion, like the dramatic like big hats and like the shoulder pads and everything, and like making it look kind of contemporary while still just giving these characters sort of like a style that's a little bit more elevated nostalgia, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense. Um, but yeah, the wedding was really good. I'm trying to think. Um, but I the whole time during the episode, I was just thinking about how far Alexis has come. Like, because she's committed murder, she's lied, she's cheated, she's done all kinds of bad things, but this felt like a kind of like a redemption moment for her. And although I'm not sure that she completely deserves it or it's warranted, it's still like in the core of the show is showing these people that are living in excess, doing whatever they want, but still these performers find the humanity in their characters. So that's why you can find so many characters that are so like hateable, but at the same time you love them. Anyway, that's a tangent about Alexis. I just really love what Elaine has done with the character. And at her wedding, all three of her children took their moment to announce their own personal triumphs or whatever. And she mentions to Dex at the end, she was like, all three of my children are narcissists. I was like, well, the apples don't fall too far from the grove.
Yes.
But yeah, Commanda is public and official. And I'm still unsure of this ship. I fully support it and I like them together, but I'm still thinking about the history of Kirby's relationships. She dated Adam, which is Amanda's brother. So I'm kind of like,
Mm.
in the whole episode, he's trying to sabotage them because he overhears them talking and finds out that they're together, and he tries to break them up. I mean, I don't know why, because he doesn't like Kirby. I think he just enjoys ruining
Chaos.
people's. Yeah, he just likes ruining people's lives for fun, which he's on the right show. But yeah, they're official. Kirby was kind of insecure about her relationship because Amanda wanted to keep it like hush hush for a while, because I mean she's wise too, because this family is a hot mess, but she was insecure about like Amanda's past and Amanda going to London and all this stuff, and Amanda's like, I'm giving you really no reason to be insecure, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
all in until we announce it. But they finally did announce it, so I'm excited to see where they go, because this is there are a lot of parts of the series, especially in this episode, that are mirrors of the original. And I did my research, and Amanda and Kirby did not date in the original, which I mean, we could have guessed that because it was the 1980s. But I'm excited to see where this particular ship goes, since it's not like canon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and the biggest part of the episode, which made it feel very like 100th episode and big and just everything Dynasty's about, is that they introduced Blake's brother Ben, who has been not spoken of for the entirety of the series, but is a character that pops up in the original in like season 6. So this will be a fun dynamic, especially for Blake and Dominique, because she's, I guess, learning for the first time, question mark, that she has another brother. I don't know. But yeah, it was like a big end of the episode, like cliffhanger. And they made it with the music was just like so grand, very Dynasty. And it just made me kind of bittersweet. Like I realized like, oh, it's ending.
Yeah.
But it was such a big celebration of the show, and they did it so flawlessly. I haven't even talked about Fallon yet, but you said you watched it. What did you think?
I thought going in with only the knowledge that you had provided, like the spoiler-free knowledge on top of like the reviews you've been doing for this season. I really liked it. It made both Michael and I have told you that every time like we tune in out of context or we listen to your reviews, it just you can really see how far the show has taken these characters. By the way, that was the first time I'd asked because I didn't watch any videos with Liam and Fallon, and I haven't made it to them in my watch of the first season. And I was like, first of all, I like his voice. Second of all, he's like it's a really nice voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like second of all, he's perfect for her. He's just like standing there, like I'm gonna take this conversation in because clearly you need to talk this fast at me right now, and we're just gonna get it all the way out until we get to the point that I need to make. And he's so patient and kind. I did not know he was an author, which endears me even more to him. I don't trust Stacey. She seems too perfect.
Yeah. Stacey is their surrogate.
Yeah.
That they've kind of landed on, even though Fallon wanted like some like celebrity surrogate in Atlanta, which Liam was like, how does that exist?
I know, like how do you rate that? I just like because you just can't possibly. She's like she has a titanium uterine wall, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It just how are you a surrogate to this? How many babies have you helped people bring into the world? Like what does the resume look like? But that is, I'm sure they'll tell us. I'm sure she'll show up dramatically at some point in the last few episodes of the show. But I don't trust Stacey because she is too perfect on paper. She's like, I'm here for you.
I know it's always a little too good to be true. It reminded me of in the last season of 90210, the reboot, when Silver was struggling with finding out that she had the BRCA gene and that she wanted to have children before she had her surgeries to deal with preventative care for breast cancer. And she had a surrogate, and the surrogate like lied about being pregnant, and she did get to have her baby by the end of the series. And I'm just like, I have like flashbacks to that. I'm like, what is Stacey gonna do with this poor baby?
Oh no. I hope like it's just drama with her and not like she's stealing the baby or she's lying. Though I know that little bit about, the Manola Blahnik stay on until her water breaks thing. I was like, is that, please don't say we're tumbling down some stairs. I did that once with Bold and the Beautiful. I do not want to do it again. But I mean, this could be a fun time, like a fun storyline. They are they're walking the tightrope, but the show always walks the tightrope of seriousness and humor. And I think they're doing it well. Blake is still terrible when it comes to sexism and riling his daughter up. Did she drop the ball? Yes. But like to say that's because she's a woman and not just because she's planning a family is just, I hate him. But
I know he's like the most hateable character, but Grant Show is like the sweetest man in real life. So it's like he does it so well because like, how can you make me hate Grant Show?
Yes, I was like, he's so suave and debonair, and you want to like him, and then he opens his mouth and he says something terrible to his daughter. Though I guess that him and Alexis were a match made in hell, which makes sense. Hearing all the drama that she put him through, I was like, okay, but what did you do? Because I don't know, because I'm not there yet about like the drama for the Carringtons in that period of the timeline. So I'm just like, I know that she did all that. She let the yacht go into the water.
I don't think that happened on the show. So that was like a funny, like, just like a funny reference to the past. I loved her trying to defend herself off of that. I'm like, girl, that's not even the worst thing that you've ever done.
No, and I was like, and that's what I want to know. Alexis's crimes. Everyone has crimes on the show, so I will not hold them entirely against her.
Yeah, there's a bad one in season 2.
Wait, is it the one that like you talked about last pod, but like simply hinted at it? It involves Crystal. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was Alexis 1, but I mean it's the same Alexis, but
I understand though. Like that's the thing with soap operas. It's like that was before the actress change, which is important. Like if you don't watch soap operas, actress changes can also come with personality changes, just so y'all are aware. So the because I do this all the time. Like, you're like, so and so wasn't like a megalomaniac when such and such played them. It's like, yes, but we got a new actor, so we therefore had to refresh in the story. So now they have a history of being the worst. And is there evidence for it? No, but are people going to talk like there's evidence for it? Yes, just roll with it.
Yeah, Nicolette played Alexis very like subtle and like intriguing, whereas Elaine Hendricks is very like camp, in your face. Like she turned it all the way up, which both versions of the character really work. Um, but we get to see more of her vulnerable side, I think, in this episode than
I
we
do.
really ever have. And I think that's true of Fallon too, which we've been getting a lot recently, that everything that she was dealing with this episode comes from like her deep insecurity of like not being enough, or like not being able to do everything. And even in picking her surrogate, I think she might probably said this as well, but like trying to pick the very best one comes from her fear of not being able to do this herself, her
Mm-hmm.
guilt for not being able to do it herself. So she just wants to be able to like throw her money at the best and get the best, only the best. But you're right. It's like it's really nice to see Liam be able to keep her like grounded and pull her back to earth, which he does quite often. But he really loves her. And I don't think Liam existed in the original series, which is why it was never really planned for them to be together this long. I don't think he was supposed to be in the series, but they just had so much chemistry and fans loved him so much. And I think that's even more apparent in the 100th episode, that Liam's still here, and Liam and Fallon are like the tightest unit of the series,
They
period.
have they have a really settled love, which enjoy that. One of the things I've always want shows to get to is like, it's great, when we're doing the slow burn or the will they won't they, and they get together. But I think it's a testament to a writer's ability to be able to do relationships that stand the test of the show. And that's not to say like people can't have drama or they can't have issues. But it takes a lot to have a settled love that's still compelling. And like, this is the first time I saw these two, and I was like, oh, they're really sweet. Actually, he is definitely trying to like calm her down. And then his little sides about like the panic rooms. Why is that a tanning bed? She's like, don't worry about it.
Oh my god, when they were stuck in the panic room, there's a scene where Fallon lays in the tanning bed to sleep, and she just looks like she's in a coffin. It's the best meme. But yeah, it's their relationship is so much different. They've been through their things even recently that seemed insurmountable, and it's such a different dynamic than Blake and Crystal, which is like they are ride or die partners in crime, literally. And that's such a different couple than Fallon and Liam, but it's still just as much fun to watch, maybe even more fun, because you know that whatever nasty thing the other has planned, they're gonna be right beside each other for better or worse. Like they got married in jail, so like that that's the core of their relationship.
Yes, they're hellions, which is like, it's so interesting because they're settled too. So watching New Crystal, because she's new to me, with
Yeah, you even seen Crystal too.
with Blake, and then like where I am in season one, as they're developing this ride or die relationship, it's interesting to see them so that they are so settled, because in season one, it's like he's really learning how much she is willing to put up with and how much he is willing to put up with, and the craziness that they both like inflict on each other's lives. And it's just like, you know what? If there are two people that could make it through the hellfire together, like in like combat the demons, perhaps because they too at times can both be demons, um it's those two. Meanwhile, like Liam and Fallon would be like strolling through hell and find a doorway to like leave.
And then we have Alexis and Dex, which did move really quickly, which probably is just because it's the final season. But they were like old friends, I want to say, from like college or something, or I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I keep going back and forth on their relationship. I'm like, is he really all in, or does he have an agenda? I don't know. You always, with this show, you always have to like kind of keep your eyebrow up, like who's playing who.
No, it's a I don't know. I think with the episodes coming, like there are to come, there'll be quite a few twists down the line with all of the characters. Do you think though that the obviously the 100th episode can't service everybody as characters, but how do you think the final season is treating some of the supporting characters in their storylines, if they have any?
That's a good question. I feel like Kirby and Colhane are often two like um characters that are not often serviced well. Like they're usually just like thrown into a storyline, somebody else's, and are just like don't really have much to do. In the past few weeks, they really have beefed up those characters. Not so much Colhane, because I don't know. He's changed a lot since the early days of the series, where like I'm kind of like glad he gets to be on the sidelines. He doesn't have to deal with like intense things anymore, because he is like a really big sweetheart. Um, but for someone like maybe Dominique and Jeff, sometimes their motivations and their stories aren't completely connected to the overall story, and they seem very distant. Um, but anytime they're on screen, they like, especially Dominique, like she steals the spotlight this week, especially when she's like trying to crash Alexis's wedding and she's fighting. Um, but yeah, it's with this big ensemble, it's a definitely a balancing act that some weeks is better than others. Um, but I guess that's the yin and yang of having an ensemble cast. Like whenever you throw them in, they're gonna kill it. But sometimes they just have to ride the bench for a couple weeks, because at the end of the day, we're always gonna get big stories for Fallon and Blake. So anything else is just gonna come in the C and D story.
That's true. Okay. I hope it ends. I was gonna say relatively well, but that's like a poor thing to say. I hope it ends uh that it ends satisfactorily for everybody. I can't remember, are you anti-time jump, or it depends on how far they jump?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind a little time jump, like maybe in the end, but I do think it would be really cool, even if there is a time jump, if there's a little bit of a cliffhanger. I think I've said this a few times, but like I really do want this show to I think it would go against everything that the show is if everything was like tied up in a neat bow and we show that like everybody gets what they want and everybody's happy, because I think we still need to know whether it's in present day or if they jump to 5 years. They're always going to have enemies. There's always going to be some sort of corruption happening within the family itself. Like, I just want to know that the drama is going to keep finding them and they're always going to keep chasing their tails. But I wouldn't mind a time jump to show like what Fallon's like as a mother. I think that would be really cool, because I mean, with the amount of episodes we have left, we're not going to see the entire pregnancy of her surrogate. So I hope we get that payoff at the very least.
That could be fun. I hope that fans do get to see her as a mom, even if it's in a small time jump, or perhaps they might even do several time jumps. In the last episode, if it ends on a cliffhanger, since you said Steven's not back and he's not awake, what if it's him opening his eyes?
That would be funny if they just brought him back for the last moment. I don't know. I think it would be really cool. I actually don't know if he's like not, if he, I don't know what state he's in. All I know is that he's in some sort of facility in Paris, is where they got him. I don't know. It would be cool if he came back, or if they brought more characters back in the run up to the finale.
That would be fun, because I think that's what Legacies is doing. I have no idea when the OG Vampire Diaries and Originals characters are going to be making their land for that series finale lead up or not. Oh, this is not about Dynasty, but I just realized we're recording this the day before the Charm finale. So like when y'all get this on, like when this drops on Monday, Charm fans will have seeing the series finale. It's too late to wish y'all the best, but hopefully,
I hope it ends well for everybody.
yes, I hope it does, and that no one is angrier than they need to be um, at this series finale. I'm not saying that as someone who's seen it. I have not. So
I kind of want to tune in because I feel like I was seeing a lot of the production team teasing that it's like a big, I don't know if it's the finale or just season storyline in general, but I want to see if they somehow connected it to the original or something.
because they were supposed to. That was a little thing that they teased, I
You
think.
think if it happened already, that we would have heard about it, right?
Yeah, because I think that that's too big for that fandom to have not started tweeting all over the place about it. And I don't remember seeing Charmed trending because of that. I don't remember if I saw Charmed trending at all. Could be incorrect. Like outside of its usual airing
Hmm.
trending. And that like something like that, they'd have gone into the weekend trending.
Yeah. All I can say though is these 13 weeks went really fast because I don't know how it's already ending.
I know it went super fast. And so I'm so sorry, all that your show is gone. But hopefully it is ended well, and that if they wanted to connect it to the OG charm, that they were able to somehow make that happen in the series finale. I think it has something to do with like the charm ones getting erased, if like their powers and like magical existence getting erased if they don't defeat this big bad. Which I mean, that sounds very series finale to me.
They should
Um,
bring Shannon Doherty back
oh, fun! I
for
think
no
that's the
reason. I think it would just be really funny to see what they all say about it.
because she's the only one who hasn't said a thing about the reboot, right?
Not to my knowledge, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so much fun to just like open a hole and then there she is, and it's like, who are you? I'm Prue. Who are you? End of show.
Love it. It would just implode Twitter.
It would, because as you said, what is a cliffhanger is iconic, and that would be the mother of all cliffhangers. What do you mean we don't know anything else about Prue? You don't. That was the end of the series. Have
Yeah.
fun.
God, I love like a nice juicy cliffhanger like that where it's like not entirely a cliffhanger, like we don't know, like those cliffhangers where it's like, oh, someone's fate's left up in the air. But I love a cliffhanger where they like reveal something and you're like, you just have questions. Oh, I love that. So good.
Well, maybe that's what will happen with Charmed. Maybe that's how they will connect the reboot to the original.
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of see this show wrapping up like in a bow. I
Oh,
don't know.
very
I think
neatly.
I think I am gonna watch it just to see. Just checked in for the premiere and checking out for the finale.
You'll have to spoil in the group chat because I know I won't be watching. I'm sending all the love to the Charmed fandom
Same. I'll be there if I remember.
though.